So many technical difficulties today. Ending up with this sitting in my lap instead of a more comfortable position. I had posted a link, but now it's not going to be valid. Looks like I was using my secure browser earlier, and it was giving me an error message. Oh, great. Now we have me talking twice. But now it's not going to be valid. Let's see what I can do. Using my secure browser earlier. Shut up, and let's see if that helps. Let's see if shutting me up on the other screen helps. I have no idea how this is going to turn out. But I'm going to try it anyway. So yes, I want to get this link over to them. Hold on one second. Let's try this. Maybe it isn't a duplicate. Maybe it is a duplicate. I'm not sure. But let me just post it. Oh, hold on one second. Here we go. Oh my goodness, so much fun technology. Okay. Okay. Alrighty, now that's posted. We'll see if someone says, that's the same link you posted earlier. That'll be a good thing. So I just sent 5 people to the wrong place. So they'll just have to watch this later. All right, so I'd just like to come on and answer questions from people. I believe I have a unique opinion on life and situations. So that's the whole point, to share. I guess as an example, I did an unconference once, and it was about multicultural writing. And in my mind, multicultural writing is simply writing stories with people of various cultures interacting. And one of the questions I received was a young lady who wanted my opinion because she had written a character that wasn't very sympathetic. And so she wondered if she should change the character or what she should do about it. And I told her that it's your character. You can do whatever you want to with this, this character. And you don't have to be concerned about what everyone else thinks, because it's fiction, or whether or not it is fiction, it's your book. It's for you to decide and not to be so concerned about it. Just do what is good for your story. And the room went quiet. Not everyone understood that opinion, but I believe we need to spend more time being ourselves and less time worried about what other people think. So, yeah. So the idea of chatting is just, again, to go back and forth, have conversations about different topics, and you learn from other people. I've certainly learned from everyone I've ever met. And so that's why I'd like to get on here and chat. So I don't have any topics coming up now. I'm not sure why my feature is still disabled. Let's see if it'll, okay. I'm not sure why I did that. But I think I'm just going to go ahead and pick a topic for now until someone comes in and wants to talk about something else. I realized 2 things. One, last week when I did this, I used a different email address. Namaste 203 channel will have that chat that I did last week. And today I logged in on my business account, which is Invest for Yourself. So that's going to end up on this channel. And that was the reason when I looked at it and I thought, well, I'm doing this again, but I don't see last week's. And then I realized because I logged in a different page. So they're kind of spread out now. Next time I'll go back to Namaste, but it's all me. So I'm just going to talk about travel for the moment. Last year, 2015, I decided to go off and do some traveling. The first place that I was someone that I knew from online. I had gone to help her build her earth bag home, and it never actually happened. It was one of those situations where things just didn't work out, but she was a very nice person, and I enjoyed spending time with her. And we went to Washington, D.C. for a green festival, which was pretty cool. I had a chance to be inside my first little tiny house. This was a tiny, tiny house. When I think about it, this is probably one that was less than half of what I would want. I'm not even sure. But, you know, you walk right in the door and there was the kitchen sink. And then there was like a open part here. Maybe there was maybe a sofa against the wall, or a place to put a sofa. There was something against the wall in the windows. And then like immediately here was the bathroom area, which was very small, but it had like a shower and I think a toilet. And then in front of that was the area where you would put your bed. And if I'm remembering right, it was definitely not a loft style. It was one where the bed would go into a section, like an opening. And then that was it. I mean, that was a very tiny, tiny place. I'd actually like to look it up and see what size it was. I'll have to look in the archives for the DC Green Fest that we went to last year. And so at this same festival, I had an opportunity to have my first official yoga class, which was done on the floor there. It was like a yoga group. Apparently they were showing us, you know, ways to relax and all the different techniques. And one of the ladies told me that the way that I stretch already is actually several yoga moves. So I'm already ahead of the game. It just comes naturally. And then let's see, they had lots of samples, which was good for me. I kept several samples for months. I mean, just there's like hemp, what do you call them? The hemp seeds. And then there was some powders, like the kind you put in your smoothies. And there was just a lot of people giving samples. It was a very nice event, actually. I had forgot about this, but we did this thing where you put your feet in some type of solution and it pulls the toxins out of your body. And that was interesting. It's some machine that goes with it. And I was like the first one that had a lot of really dirty stuff coming out of them. And it was kind of blah. But, you know, by the end, I think we sat there for an hour. By the end of it, all of us had this brown and green guck that was in the water. And it made me wonder if it was real or if somehow this technique just, I don't know. I wasn't sure because we all ended up with so much of the same stuff. Now, one of the ladies had less, so it's probably real. She was really interested in getting the system. So that was kind of neat. And that was in Maryland/DC. And also while I was in Maryland, I had a chance to meet someone else I had contact with online. And she is a person who makes shampoo products, body care products, and that's Lakita. And so I got to meet her in person. And unfortunately, it was the last day that I was there. But we spent the whole day in DC. I believe that's where we were. We were at Union Station in DC. And so we went to the Cheesecake Factory and ate until we were about to explode. And then still had so much food left. I mean, I'm not a person who needs to be eating appetizers because I get full so fast. But we had some awesome appetizers. And then we had some food. And then I felt like, oh my God, I can't eat any more food. So like halfway through, I felt really bad. We put all the leftovers, you know, one of those to-go containers, and there was like no way I could eat it because I wasn't going to get on a bus that day. And so we walked around with it for a while, and then we wanted to give it to some homeless people, and they were not very accepting, even though the food was perfectly clean. But ended up sitting it in a trash can, which we at first weren't going to do because we thought, Union Station, people might think we're putting something explosive in the trash can. So we actually eventually did it. We weren't sure how to do it. We eventually did. It was inside of a bag, so it was perfectly good to be eaten, just needed to be warmed up again. So that was kind of fun. So we were at a Union Station, wandering around and looking at all the sights and seeing all the people. I actually have a website about all my travel. So that would be in one of the first ones. Yeah, that was nice. I have some video of the top of the Union Station and, the people. So that was my first stop. And like I said, it didn't go exactly as I had hoped. So I ended up going to visit a relative, and for me to think about what I wanted to do next. And that was in Georgia near Savannah. And I was there almost 2 months. I was just thinking and trying to decide and enjoying the warm sun of Georgia. I fell in love with Savannah, the downtown part, with the cool little shops and everything. Walked around there a couple of times. And so I went from Georgia. I ended up going later. Not all the details. But then I went around to, ended up in New Jersey. And in New Jersey, okay, this is probably a tip for travelers. All those wonderful deals online. Hold on a second. This cord from under my feet. All those wonderful deals online sometimes don't end up being wonderful deals. I'm sure we all know that to an extent. But this was Frontier Airlines. And I took the Trenton flight from Chicago. And so I had done research. I looked online and it said that the airport was a regular airport. And it's only 5 minutes from the train. And so I was good, right? But then I got there, and this particular airport was in the middle of a field. I guess it used to be something to do with the military, not a base, but maybe something else. And so, I got out, I was all excited. I got my suitcase, I walk outside, and all there is taxis. Taxis aren't cheap, right? And this is like literally outside. Like you go outside, you have to go away outside, okay? There are no options except to get a taxi or someone's picking you up. And I I didn't know what to think. I happened to have a bag of change that I counted before I had left. And I had $21. And I asked one taxi guy a question, and he was like, it's going to be like $40 to get, to the train. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, what am I going to do? And so I happened to pick another guy, and I was telling him my situation, to how when I looked it up, this is where, I was supposed to be 5 minutes from the train, and I had $21 in a bag of change. That's what I told him. So I got in the car, and I was just thinking, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And he told me the same thing. Normally it costs around $40 to get to the train because they were a little ways out. And so, really? Someone's calling me. Great. Well, it's just gonna have to ring. I don't know what's happening here. What's going on now? Hello, what's going on? Okay. Oh. Oh my God, this is so crazy. So, in the middle of my story a second ago, the phone started ringing, my Google Voice phone. No one calls me on this number. And the only people that would call me is this website I called earlier today from this, Google Voice number. So there's no reason for me to answer because I know I don't want to talk to them. Okay, so I'm not sure how this is going to work. I'm probably going to have to try to edit this in because I was in the middle of something and I have no idea if this is going to come up as the same link. Sorry, this link keeps falling off. All right, so the story was the cab driver picked me up. I had $21 in change and he thought it was going to be around $40. He took a little bit off at the front somehow, I think. He didn't start the, what do you call it, until we were going for a little ways. So that helped. We finally got to where I needed to be. And that's when I told him about the actual amount. I don't think he understood that the change I was mentioning was what I had to pay him with. So I said, this is what I have for the cab. And I was being honest. For the cab, this is what I had put aside because I wasn't going to need that much. It was, most of the change would have been used for the train. And so he said, ma'am, just keep your change. So, yeah, awesome, New Jersey cab drivers. Yay. So after that, I got on my little train and there was kind of a turn of events to get to where I needed to be. That'll be in the book because it's kind of hard to explain. I finally got down. I don't know why my eyes are watering so much. I finally got to the place where I was going to stay. And this was through a work exchange system. And so I arrived and I had spoken with the person that owned the house. And I arrived and there was a lady there who was not the owner. She was just another person who was traveling like I was. And we chatted and, went upstairs, showed me my room. And there was a bunch of boxes in the room from where they had moved things from another location. And I guess we were supposed to move them or something. And so we started going through them and there were like little bugs. And so we started cleaning everything up. This is like within 20 minutes of me being there. We're like moving boxes and trying to get it all situated so it would be out of the room. And yeah, but it was actually a pretty nice place. There were about 8 of us all together. It was like I want to say a 3-story house. It's like 8 rooms, or there was 8 of us, maybe 4 bedrooms, 4 or 5, couple of bathrooms, but they were changing it or turning it into a bed and breakfast. And so some of the people had come to help in moving things. Some had come to help with the painting. And all of the work that was being done was in exchange for a place to stay. Okay, the different people were there to do different things. There was a guy from Egypt who came to have his book published or to speak with the book publisher. And there was a guy from Brazil, San Paulo. He came to do something with the United Nations in New York. There was a guy from Canada. He was like over the whole situation, kind of the supervisor. He had been there like a month and they trusted him to kind of take care of the place because the owners were not always present. They had other places that they lived and they had other things going on. They were very busy. I think I only saw them twice. Well, I was only there a week, but They were in and out like twice. And then there was a couple from France. They were there, very friendly. The guy couldn't speak very much English. The girl was very friendly. They're both very nice, and they helped with some painting. And then, another lady came in from South Carolina. She was traveling, and she had been to Massachusetts. Well, we had a chance to talk, and she actually referred me to the woman in Massachusetts after a day or so, because it was really nice there, and she was just sharing her experience. And so when my week was up, I went to Lexington, Massachusetts. Massachusetts. And so that was a trip from New York. Now, while I was in New Jersey, I had a chance to go to Staten Island, and I had a chance to see the Statue of Liberty as I was on the ferry. And my trip to Staten Island was kind of weird because I was so hungry when I finally got to land. I immediately went to find food, and for like 20 minutes, I was walking up and down the street trying to find a place to eat. And then, but it was mostly residential where we got off at the ferry. And finally I asked somebody where was like, like a collection of places to eat, And they said, oh, back at the ferry where did you get off the ferry? I said, yeah, I assumed there would be places here. So I ended up back at the ferry eating. I was so hungry. Eating at the Dairy Queen. I go to all these places and I end up somewhere that I grew up down the street from, eating Dairy Queen, my favorite place in Texas. So, but at the time it's like, that's fine. Food, hunger, yes, thank you. So that was one of my little explorations to New York. This, of course, is where I started learning to ride the subway, New York, New Jersey. And then after that, I can't think of anything else exciting that happened there. Okay, so when I got to Lexington, it was to be with the family. It was an entire family, 2 older boys and their mom and dad. And so, Lexington is a historical town. So this was kind of cool because when I was traveling, I wanted a chance to stay in different areas and absorb the culture and the atmosphere and to decide maybe if I would like to come back and stay at another point. And so it was kind of interesting. The house was only like 10-15 minute walk to the center, which was where all the historical things were. The statues, the information, the touristy part where people come to visit. So that became a regular walk for me. And it was actually pretty cool. That's like the only place I went that was close to a historical area. And so I would go, to do like for coffee, but also, after a couple of days, I went and looked at a little bit of this and a little bit of that, different places. Check it out on my website, MzRenesTravels.wordpress.com, MZRENES Travels.wordpress.com. So that was fun. And also when I was in Lexington, I of course had a chance to go to Boston. And the lady I was staying with and I went to the Prudential building in Boston. It's a good place to see the area around the other buildings around because it's very tall. And they have an area up there where you can use the the binoculars, what are they called? Telescopes? Where you can look out the window over the city and take pictures and just see what else there was, and then there was Boston Bay, and there was a race going on that day, a boat race. That was kind of cool just to see it in the distance, and you can kind of see the colleges, Harvard and different things. And at another time, I ended up walking around near Harvard, just kind of the edge of it. I'm not sure. Oh, I think I was going to the thrift store. And I was just kind of seeing what there was to see. It was getting late after a while, and I kind of went in that direction, just kind of roaming and walking and looking. But that particular day, on the way back, you know, she always said, well, give me a call to pick you up when you get back. And this time I thought, you know what? I think I can make it. I'm just going to go back, get off the bus and walk. You know, I got used to walking back and forth. You know, it's pretty much a straight shot. And so I was almost to the house this particular evening. It was getting to be dusk, and I was already walking pretty fast. And I passed by this guy, he's an older guy, dressed a little like Halloween, I guess. Not exactly 2016 clothing. He was older, and he had kind of like an odd-shaped face. Yes, this is a scary story. And so I saw him, and I passed by. He said hi, I said hi, and I kept on walking. When I got to the end of the street, which wasn't that far, I turned around, and he was gone. I didn't see him anywhere. And he was like an older person with I want to say a cane or a limp or something that showed me he was like, you can't like run down the block. And that kind of spooked me, of course, because I'm thinking, where'd he go? And so I just walked faster. And I got back to the house, and I told her what happened, and she's like, those darn demons. And I was like, what are you talking about? Apparently, some girls have been scared by something similar around Halloween time. I don't know how recent it was, but I could not sleep that night. I'm looking in the windows thinking, oh my gosh. You know how things just get in your head that are just like, ugh. Yeah, it was one of those things. So anyway, that was kind of an interesting experience there. But I enjoyed it. There was also a young lady who came to, sorry, this is sticky. There was a young lady who came to couch surf with us one night while I was there. And she was very outgoing and very friendly. And one of the days we went out together to Sleepy Hollow Cemetery and various places. And we took pictures of various headstones. Obviously, it's a very popular, famous cemetery. This is really going to bug me out. But there were different, let's see who was there. Louisa May Alcott, her grave is there. Nathaniel Hawthorne is there. And Emerson, Ralph Waldo Emerson, I think that's his name. Those are just a few that I could think of. But it was kind of cool. But what was even more interesting after wandering around the cemetery, and I love cemeteries, by the way, because they're very quiet, very calming. And one of the things that I learned later, just as a reference, is that was not the original Sleepy Hollow Cemetery, which is odd considering all the famous people that are buried there. Now, maybe it was the original Sleepy Hollow Cemetery, but it's not. There's a city of the same name. We've all heard of it. And they have their own Sleepy Hollow Cemetery. So apparently there's just two of them. But I just wondered. Yeah, it got a little confusing when I looked it up. Anyway, it was fun to be there. It was a historical event. Which again, I don't do very many of them, but that was fun. And she said to me, it's so much fun to be able to have someone to talk to when I'm traveling or doing something instead of always doing it by myself. And I agreed. It was a nice day. We hung out at the cemetery, then went back downtown to Lexington and had some coffee and hung out. And it was just an amazing day. So while I was in Lexington, there came an opportunity to go to Canada. I have friends in Canada. Hi, Natalie and Stephanie. And the woman I was staying with was going to go for her birthday. And so I was able to go with them, and I was able to be dropped off with my friend Stephanie. I know, awesome, right? So we moved to Canada now for our story. So my friend lives in Quebec, and it was just amazing to see her again. I stayed with her for around 3 weeks. And we also had a chance to visit our other friend, Natalie, in Upper Quebec. What is that? I can't think of the name of the city. Montagnagme? Anyway, we drove up to see Natalie and spent the day with her. And we just had an amazing time taking pictures and talking. And that's enough to make me cry. But it was just really fun to have a chance to see them. I know them from Supernatural, one of my favorite shows. We met in Chicago, and it was all of our first convention. Excuse me. And so we had met online, which is how I know most people. Get over it. It's just the way it is. And so we met and we shared a room together for the 4 days of the convention, and it was just amazing. So it was nice to see her and Natalie again. And let's see, the time there was, very normal, wake up, go to sleep, have an adventure. For Halloween, we went to, this was funny. For Halloween, we went to a bar, and I was all dressed up in this little red outfit that I had found, and I had a mask, and so we went to this bar, and I think it's so funny. The people were leaving the bar because the Canadian person who was impersonating Rick Springsteen, I think, wasn't American enough, or the song wasn't. It was funny, something about not being American enough, and I thought it was kind of amusing. But it was fun just to hang out and talk to them and be involved in their celebration. They're very into Halloween. And so we did that. And then we had taken that trip. But mostly, just kind of hanging out, getting to know the French culture. They I think there was a lot of game shows. That was interesting. It could have just been because, it was early in the day and we didn't have anything else to do. And maybe that was why there were game shows on. I'm not sure. So anyway, after I left my friends, sadly, but I thought her daughter might want her room back. Oh, the cat. I have to tell you about Grace the cat. She's a cool cat. She and I had conversations. Meow. It was funny. It was kind of obvious that I was in her space, but it's also obvious that that's just the way it is when you're not a cat. And one day I was sitting on the computer and I had the door just barely cracked open, and she came and sat there and looked in the room like, let me in. I said, you'll get your room back soon enough. Anyway, so I left there and went to south of Toronto, small town called Brantford. And I worked at a restaurant, The Healthy Rabbit. It's a very new restaurant. It had just opened the month before. And I helped with the cooking and the cleaning, and I did a little front desk work. I learned about making, what is that, French press coffee. And I made some smoothies and some vegan foods like brownies and cookies and cakes. And it was so much fun. I'd never worked in a restaurant before, so it was a new experience. And I enjoyed it. And I was there for more than a month, like a month and a half. And then I moved on to near Owen Sound. And that was with a couple of ladies who have an herbal store. And so I helped with the herbs. I learned how to do different things with herbs. I checked seeds and you know, again, something I've never done. I was very interested in things that are herbal. And so there I met Molly the dog. I love Molly. She was an abused dog that they had taken in, and she was just the sweetest thing. But she couldn't bark, which is very sad. She just squeaked. It's very sad. But she was very calm, and I call her my starter dog because I've never had a lot of interactions with dogs, especially in the house. So that was nice for me. Also another experience. And so I would, you know, take her outside to walk or, you know, feed her or whatnot. And then also I help with the herbs. And the older woman, she's very nice. She's like 90 years old and just the sweetest little woman you ever want to meet. And her daughter was also very nice, Anna Jean. Yes, very nice. So I stayed with them about 3 weeks, and then after being with them, I got a little homesick because they were just, you know, so homey. They had, you know, homemade meals every night, and I learned how to, you know, make these little things from scratch. And so I thought maybe I'll stop on by and visit those people that are related to me. So before I could do that, I was doing research on Detroit's airport. And my friend who lives in that area said, "You're not going to come and visit me and you're going to be in Detroit." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I can do that." So I visited her for a week. Love you, Ashley. It was amazing. They were like, they spoiled me rotten. I didn't want to leave, I tell you. Just wow, very, very nice. Nice place, nice people that I met. Awesome area for coffee shops. And then, you know, like I said, they spoiled me at home. Even the cats were cute. That little baby cat, I don't remember the name of him, but he and I had these weird conversations. Me and my cats. I should be the cat whisperer. But anyway, after I left there, I went to Texas for a couple of months and visited my family. And while I was there, we ended up taking a trip. Maybe it's in my blood. We went to Charleston and Savannah and Hilton Head. Awesome time, guys. And then, of course, I left again. Went to California. And I spent some time near San Francisco working, helping in an event planning business. And that was cool. I used to take my Sunday or Saturday walks down because we were like up on a hill. And I would take my walks down the hill at least once a week. And that was kind of cool, walking out in the sun. And, you know, it was kind of a perfect heat. You know, I was raised in Texas. So I'm used to the heat, or I was used to the heat. All the time in this weather that's not heated has done something to me. To now I'm not as excited about the heat. When I feel it, it's very uncomfortable to me, which is something that I was not expecting at all. I'm sorry, hold on a second. Ugh. I've always been one of those people who thought they could live their life on a tropical island, and now I'm not so sure. So the weather in the California actually ended up to be perfect. It wasn't quite as warm because we were like more in the mountainous areas, you know, San Francisco. And so walking in the heat, just like, it's kind of a perfect, not quite hot heat. And I'd walk down the hill and walk around and see what was what, and, you know, just get out and stretch my legs. And then the last few days I was there, I did two things that if I had known were there, or if I had experienced before, I would have probably ended up spending way too much money. I went to a thrift store. Oh, the magic word for me, thrift store. And I spent a couple of hours wandering around, you know. And I was, if I ever go back to the area, I'm going to get a job at that thrift store. So much good stuff. And then I found a catfish place. Oh my gosh, it was amazing. If I knew that catfish place was there earlier, I would have been there every Sunday. It wasn't even very expensive. It was just so tasty, yummy. So that was, like I said, near San Francisco. We went to Oakland like once for a meditation group. I was with the owner of the event company and another helper who stayed with us. And that was kind of interesting. I'd never been to Oakland before. And so I think that was, oh, I had a chance to visit with my friend who lives in Modesto. We met up in a small town. I can't remember the name of it. It's the name of a country. I'm not sure what it is, but we met up and went to an outlet mall one day and just had an awesome time hanging out and talking. I haven't seen her since maybe 4 or 5 years, I think. When I visited California a while back, I saw her for the first time. So this is only the second time I've ever met her. Because yes, I know her because I met her through Supernatural Online. That would be Jackie. So that was fun. So then I was headed toward Vancouver. And I didn't make it there. So that's going to be a whole different story. I ended up in Bellingham, which is where someone helped me out with a place to stay and a work exchange opportunity. And I was there for about a month and a half. And then I got this thing where I really wanted to go to Seattle. So I spent a couple weeks in Seattle. And I'm going to stop there because the Bellingham, Seattle thing would be a whole different story. And if anyone had questions, we will just do that at a different time. So let's see. Let's try to do another quick topic before we end this. That was just kind of a rundown on my travels. Let me think. Now, maybe I could try to give a couple of travel tips. I've been very lucky with traveling. Not lucky, but see, I think people are nicer than we give them credit for. I think the key to traveling is to be open to adventures and to not be strict about this has to happen or this has to happen or this has to happen, you know, just to be open. And so that's what I would recommend, to be fluid. So that would be the first tip. The second tip is to research where you're going, not just to know the people, which of course you want to get to know them through email first or on the phone or Skype or however you want to get to know them, especially if you're going to stay with someone you never met in real life, in real time, in 3D. So that would be the second tip, was research. And then the third tip would be give all that you can. Be flexible, you know, but if you're staying somewhere with someone where you're in exchange for a place to stay and or food, then you want to, whatever you say you're going to do, you want to do it and do it very well. Because that not only helps them, but it helps you to know that you're doing an equal exchange. And that then you can, you know, if you have to do 3 or 4 hours of something, then get it over with, you know, with a good attitude. And, you know, like I said, do it properly. And then you have a chance to go and explore or do whatever the things you want to do. You know, a lot of places, they only want you working like 3 or 4 hours a day, 5 days a week. So you have, what, 20 hours a day left each day, and you have the whole weekend. That's not a lot. That's actually a pretty cool deal. Let's see. So I don't know. I think that's most important. You want to have extra money in case something happens, or if you are somewhere and you get stuck, even if you're just out exploring by yourself, or, you know, you're trying to get from point A to point B, like me and my bag of quarters. you know, it worked out, but, you know, in reality, he could put me out beside the road. He could have said, see ya, have fun walking with your suitcase, you know. But again, I think, you know, the energy you put out is the energy that you're going to get back. So if you're, you know, you're happy and you're honest and you're transparent with people, then that is what you will get in return. All right, so I will see you again next week. Hopefully we'll get the time situation figured out. Feel free to post your comments, your questions, your topics you want to talk about. I'm sure there's a million other things we can discuss. All right, this is Renee. See you then. Bye.